All right. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this week's Wisconsin FLL Coaches Zoom call. My name is Craig Peterman, the program delivery partner, volunteer at BadgerBots. And we've got our entire brain trust here. Oh, I take that back. Margaret Rushton is not here, but nonetheless, we got Brian Farrell and Brian Hicks as our head judge advisors for the state, and both Jay Church and Allison Conrad, our head referees for the state. And congratulations, Allison, for another successful twist event that past weekend. So if she is incoherent this evening, she at least has an excuse. All right. So, the window to register your team preferences for regionals closed on Saturday. The great news is we are already 10% ahead of last year, which is great news. More teams are participating in the regionals, or at least want to. And then, if history is any guide, there will be a few teams that come up and say, I missed the window. We got started late. Can I please get my team into a regional? And the answer to that is absolutely. We want as many teams to participate as possible. The issue, of course, going forward from here is once the teams that made it through the window, we go through that assignment process, which will be communicated later this week. The teams that come in later, you need to send me an email at fllteams@badgerbots.org. And the downside is, well, you're limited to whatever events currently have capacity at that particular time. So it may not be your first choice, it may not be your second choice, but you will have an opportunity to participate somewhere at some point in time. And then it will be up to that particular coach and team to determine whether or not they want to accept that opportunity. We hope you do, of course. But that will be on a team by team basis, of course. Again, the bottom line there is if you didn't get a chance to register during the window, you need to email me at fllteams@badgerbots.org so we can find you a regional to participate in. All right. So the next 2 days, or I actually started yesterday, going through the registrations that came in. Thank you to the coaches. I'd say we had about a 99% success rate on you guys following directions. So that was great. Makes my job a lot easier, and hopefully I can then communicate the assignments Wednesday. Yeah, more likely it's going to be Thursday. There are a couple of things under discussion right now, so we may have a few surprises on the horizon. Um, is that enough of a teaser? Good. I'm going to leave it at that. So, any questions from the coaches about where we are, kind of in the season? What's going on with regionals? There's really, again, not much to say until the assignments come out in a few days, but I'll give you a few seconds here to come up with some questions. And if not, that's just fine with me. The last item, of course, is in the assignment email. There will be payment instructions. Those of you that check the box or drop down menu, I need an invoice. Those will start to be created later this week as well, and that will get emailed to the coaches of record. Hopefully, those teams that like to have their teams bunched into one invoice, you told me so in the comments section. If not, feel free to email back to me when you get the first invoice, and we can do that again and consolidate all your teams into one invoice. So, all right, that's it for me on challenge administration. Real quickly for Explore teams, we are going to open up registration for that next Monday. The directions will be a little bit different than last year, but essentially it will be the same process, similar to Challenge. You'll go in there and you'll select the events that you want to participate in, and then we'll follow up with an email to the coaches. Yes, you can participate in this particular Explore Festival, and if not, then we'll figure out what's the next best option. So, Explore coaches, hang on for one more week, and we'll get that registration up. All right. Since I don't see any questions in the chat, let's move on to our judging advisors, Brian and Brian. Yeah, go ahead. Mike is yours.
Did you have any things to lead off with?
I don't.
Okay. So Craig made a comment last week that we would be um, kind of starting a little bit to cover um, the
Rubrics.
rubrics a little bit. So with that, I'm just going to share my screen here. I know the first thing I have up is not the rubrics. I am well aware of that, but because it's tied to judging, I wanted to make sure everybody's aware of this, of the judging session flowchart and the what kind of a judging session looks like. The team. So what typically happens, and we'll kind of cover this for uh, in a little bit more detail, so that newer coaches have that information. When your team gets queued, typically wait. I mean, the term will tell you uh, whether you're going to get queued to the room or you're supposed to go there on your own. Follow those instructions. When you get to the room and it's time to be let in, they will let you in the room. They will let in parents and coaches first. They will get situated and then we'll let the team in. When the team enters, that's when the timer starts. And so as the team's coming in, we start the timer. They can be setting up. The judges will do some introductions. Maybe I ask some softball questions like, verify team name and number. Um, Make sure the kids know at least one of them. And if you change your name, try to make sure we know what it is in case, so we can get that correct. What we want to do is make sure we're judging the right team. And then also, they'll probably ask how long the kids have been on team, things like that, just a little bit while they're setting up. It is not considered rude if the kids are continuing to set up while we're, and answering those questions. That is not a problem. But we're just trying to get those introductions happening in parallel. When they're set up, we'll ask them to start doing their innovation project presentation. They have 5 minutes to do that presentation. If it's a little bit short, that's can be okay, but we recommend trying to use up the entire time to get as much information as you can. And then we'll move them into innovation project, the question and answer time. So we'll start asking questions. The judges will help with this, transitions. If you do go long, the judges will typically let you kind of finish a thought or whatever, but they're not going to let you go too long extra because they do need to ask questions and start um, making sure that they understand the material, your information, so that we can get the team ranked appropriately. Then after the question and answer period, we'll switch over to the robot design um, presentation. And this is one of the things that you want to work with the kids on for transitioning as well. We've had some teams that burn up quite a bit of time switching over to robot design, and there's no time built in for that. So it's really comes out of their time. So, help them be ready, practice those transitions. We understand that they need a few seconds to do that, but we've had teams take a minute, minute and a half kind of thing to do that. So that's not good use of time to make sure that we can get all the information we can. Um, Again, this is the robot design explanation. So this is things on the robot design rubric. So it's your strategy, your programming, your mechanical design, those kinds of things. After 5 minutes, again, give or take your time, um, transition them over to the Q&A. If they're short on the time and the explanation, we'll start in Q&A and ask a bunch of more questions um, to, again, figure out the information. We'll transition into the final sharing feedback. And this is up to 8 minutes where, it says here teams may choose to share final thoughts with judges. Judges may ask clarifying questions, then provide verbal feedback to the team. So this is a shared time. So if they forgot something that they want to add quick, or if they had a short summary, they could do that. I would say, probably no more than 1 to 2 minutes on that if you do that. And then the judges may ask some clarifying questions and then start providing feedback to the team. Once the time is done, uh, the judges, will end the session with the kids, and then everybody should pack up and leave the room. We ask that happen fairly promptly because the judges have to do their paperwork, and they can't really start that until you're out of the room. So we want to do is keep the day moving and on schedule. So it's helpful to make sure your parents and team are knowing to do that. Did I miss anything?
The only thing maybe to add is when you leave the room, usually there's other judging rooms, and usually the students want to celebrate. If they could just wait till they get back to the pit area, because there are other judging rooms usually in that area.
Yep. And teams may be in those rooms. And if not, the judges are, working on the deliberation process. Okay. Any questions about that? Anybody has? Okay. Then we'll go over the rubrics. The rubrics are on the website, so is that flowchart.
Brian, we got a question in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like the students bring in their materials and set up, but can coaches and parents help get the materials out of the room?
I think that tends to be more, common that they'll help them with some of that. But again, they like to see the kids doing the work as much as possible. But yeah, the kids should be able to come in and set up on their own. If you need to help carry stuff out or whatever, that's fine. I'm trying to find the chat section. There it is. Okay. Sorry, just overlaid a bunch of things on here. I still lost it. Now where'd it go? There it is. Okay, so with that, rubrics, again, this same rubrics that are posted on the website that you can have. The big thing I guess I want to cover is, read these rubrics, go over them with the kids, understand them, look at the ands and ors, if it's an and versus an or. If it's an and, we're looking for two things to make that criteria. If you do not fully meet a criteria, you don't get that criteria. So if you think about accomplished, if it's not a clear definition of the problem, as determined by the judges, then it would be partially clear or unclear. So assuming that you didn't hit accomplished, it would look at developing. But we can't, there's no partial points. It's not, oh, they're so close, we'll give it to them. They have to fully meet that criteria to be able to get that ranking. And then you also notice there's squares and gears. And that's true on both the robot design and innovation project rubrics. We haven't been looking at the innovation project right now. Those ones that have gears are considered both core values and that area. So in the case we're looking at the innovation project, those gears there, those rows, those 5 rows that are there that have gears, those are considered core values and innovation project. And when we look at the robot design, those are robot design and core values. So they get counted for both areas. And again, look at the area, look at what we're looking for in each of these rows. Again, here they talk about the gears and the criteria. Those, again, each of the 4 areas make up the champions rank. So the core values, innovation project, robot design, and robot performance. Each of those 25% make up your rankings towards the champions rank, which is used for a lot of the award determinations. So that's kind of how this stuff factors in. If you do notice there is an exceeds that is a 4 that does not have a criteria there, and that is a wow different. It's not just a little bit different. It's, like wow different, not just wow. It's wow different for how it is. And Craig is there laughing, so that's good.
Clear as mud.
Clear as mud, right? And we actually do discuss these as judges to make sure that we're being consistent through the tournament. Anything else to add, Brian?
Not on here. I think you're going to go to the first page. Yep.
Yeah, we'll go up to that in a second. I'm kind of doing these in
order of how they're presented.
Order of
in
how
the
they're
room. Yep.
done. Yeah, the flowchart order, not the document order. So again, same kind of thing with robot design. You got the squares, which are just that area, and you got the gears, which are that area, and the core values. And the judges are going to check one thing in each row for all the rubrics. So we'll be going through and doing that. Look at these areas that they're looking for, and the type of information they're looking at. And then
the one area, Brian, you could highlight in the robot when it says all team members, it means the whole team.
yes, yep. If you look at the rubrics, so looking at the rubrics, okay, it's very much a process interview. Okay, so they want to know about all the cool stuff they learned, the process of it, the fun they had, all those things. But it's a process interview. There will not be a robot game table in that room. We will at least let the judges know about the different missions and in the short description, if you think of it that way, of those missions. But it's the process that they're primarily looking at in this interview process, in the interviews. And then the other rubric thing here is they will actually be giving feedback to the teams. There's a verbal component to the feedback, which we talked about in the flowchart, but also they will be giving feedback on the rubrics when they return them. So there's a great job and a think about. So this always should be in a positive term, and that's what we tell the coaches. But they should always, the think about should even still be, something to work on, but we want it in a positive light and how it's written. But so we do ask the judges to give feedback in each of these 6 boxes for the teams. Okay. And we know that sometimes, one of the comments we get from the judges is like, they did a great job. I can't think of anything to tell them to get to consider. Okay. But we do challenge them to come up with things to think about, things to get better. Okay. And think about it at work. You don't want to be told your boss, you're doing great. I don't have anything to tell you. You can't get better that way. So we want to be able to give them that feedback to get better. And then there are these 3 boxes down here for some optional awards. It doesn't mean if we check those that we're giving those awards out at a tournament, but it is still feedback to the team. So if the judges, even if we're not giving Breakthrough Rising All-Star, or Motivate awards, we do ask the judges to check those if they see a team that is, they think meets that criteria, so that they can, you can get that feedback from the judges. What else did I miss, Brian?
I think you covered it.
Okay, any questions? Okay, well, I'll give you back to the refs then.
Very good. Jay and Allison, what do you got?
I have to learn to unmute my mic. Sorry. I actually have quite a bit today. I've been getting emails throughout the week. We have a couple of things on Slack, and I've also promised to walk through the interruption process and procedures and what happens when you interrupt your robot. So, veteran coaches, I'll give you guys an opportunity to ask questions first before we get into this, because it can get lengthy. I understand that, and I won't get mad if anybody ducks out. But I've gotten enough questions where I kind of had to sit down and rethink of, how we're giving information out to some of these coaches. And I realized some of these coaches are brand new. And we tend to forget that these coaches, some of them are brand new, and they don't know this information that we have. So I kind of want to start with a real complicated thing and work our way through. So any coaches, if you have a question, you don't want to stick around for all the interruption stuff, what happens here and there, you can ask now before we get started.
I've got one that a student thinks they found a loophole in the wording, so I told him I would bring
Awesome.
the one to you. Let me see
Great.
if I can
You could have sent this one to me
find.
before. Go ahead.
He reminded me tonight. Oh, and of course I closed my window on it. It's the one, the mission with I want to say the shipwreck that you're digging out. Or no, never mind. It's the one next to that. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick because I forgot what it's called. Mission 11.
Okay.
So it's on the bonus, and the crane flag is at least partly lowered. And so he looks at it and he says, it is already lowered. So isn't that going to give me the 10 points automatically?
Okay. So I understand that lowered, the way it's set up, the flag is at the bottom. Once the flag is raised, because it has to be raised when the artifacts are raised above the ground layer, that flag hypothetically will go up, and then the flag pole goes up, the flag goes down. So they can't get the bonus without having the first part done. Artifacts are raised above the ground layer. So I guess one way around that is they could somehow raise the ground layer without using the crane, right? But still the crane flag isn't lowered. Just because it's at the bottom doesn't mean it's lowered. The intent here is that flag, it goes towards the crane to be lowered.
Okay. I will let him know.
I understand it. I get it. I get
Right?
it. It's, hey, there's I get it. There's a no equipment constraint. Yeah. So, and I'm reading the chat because this won't show on the video. So someone says there is a no equipment constraint on 11. That is true, but I don't think her question really. I don't think they're trying to get around the equipment touching. I think they're just. He was saying that the flag is already lowered because it's down. Unless you meant my comment of somehow other raising that artifact. Okay, other questions there? Other questions about anything else before I start? I plan on going to start reading some of the emails I've gotten, and then I'll do the Slack stuff, and then we'll jump into the interruption stuff. So somebody just let me know if a question pops in that we need to answer. So we have multiple kits. Can we use blocks from different kits to make extensions? Yes, you can. You can use any Lego branded block or piece. They don't have to be all from your Spike Prime kit or your expansion kit. You can use stuff from previous years. You can use, Technic blocks, anything you want to use. So there's no restriction on what you can use. They do have to be in their original condition, so you can't cut a bar down or cut a beam down or anything like that. So yes, you can do that. Can kids pass a robot from one launch to the other outside of the table? This is a question we get all the time, and we'll still get it during tournaments, so I appreciate this one. And he gives an example. If a kid on the left side gets the robot back in home after a run, can he hand the robot to a kid on the right side? Okay. You can't do that. You can't hand anything across the table. Okay. And we'll get into, when I do the interruption stuff, we'll get into how you can get your robot back across the correct way. Okay. Can the robot return to the starting location by traveling outside of the mat area? Okay. The robot doesn't need to return to the starting location. You can return anywhere in either home base. So I interpret your starting location question as the quarter circle, the launch area. So the robot can get back into home. It doesn't have to end or stop in the launch area. It can end anywhere in home. There we go. Thank you, Brian.
So any of these areas here.
Yep. And
So if you're going for one of the missions on the edges and they complete it, they don't have to have the robot go all the way back to the quarter circle, as long as it is fully within home, which is defined by the quarter circle and the black strips on either side. They can grab it, assuming it is not a strategic stop condition.
Yeah, we'll get on that.
Which is, we'll deal with that later.
Okay. So basically, just remember the robot, once you launch it, the robot can continue to go do whatever it wants until it's interrupted. Okay. It can go in and out of home. It can go in and out of the launch area. It can go in and out of any launch areas in home, either side. It doesn't matter. But you cannot, if it's in home and stopped, you can't just hand it across. I'll give you guys a couple examples in a few minutes on how they can get from one side to the other. Okay. That plays all into the interruption stuff as well. I just want to get through these other questions first. Regarding the rule, a mission model cannot earn points if it's touching equipment at the end of the match. Does this mean, for example, in mission 1, that the items extracted from that model should not be touching the robot at the end of the game? I did a very lengthy thing about this last week. There's also a write-up on Slack. So basically the way that we're ruling this, because we haven't gotten any other explanation from first, once something collectible, as Allison likes to call it, I do love that term. So once something is taken out, like the brush, okay, once that's removed from the surface brush and mission, it has another place to go. We assume that the intent is that's now going to head towards the forum, which is, I think it's mission 14. So once any of these collectibles are removed or not touching their mission, we assume that's now part of mission 14. So if let's just say that your robot is touching the brush that's on the mat at the end of the match, it will not negate your points for mission 1. If it happened to be touching the brush that's in 14 at the end of the match, 14 is also a no touch constraint, so it would negate the points for the brush for that part. Okay. Do all extracted pieces from the models need to be brought back to the base location before being pushed to the middle of the mat? Again, I really appreciate this question because this is something that people that have been doing this a long time, we don't even think about this stuff because we know the answer, right? But this is a very good question for newer teams. They do not, okay? Just be careful not to add any additional restrictions or rules to yourself. If it doesn't say it in a rule, it doesn't matter, okay? So it doesn't tell us anywhere that pieces have to be brought back to home or launch before they can be pushed out to the forum. Okay, good questions. Told you guys I had a lot today. Okay, that's all from my emails. I think there was one on Slack.
It was also about the brush, I think.
Say that again?
I think it was also about the brush.
Yeah, but it was the brush being partially on the map.
Yes.
I don't know if this person is here. I don't want to share her picture, so I'm going to explain it. So the question is, with the robot being home, like in the picture, okay, the brush is halfway in home and halfway out. Okay, so they're reading that they would be able to grab the brush without a penalty and asking if that is correct. Okay, so just imagine a brush is, as Brian has up there, the brush is on the red line on the left side, halfway on the mat, halfway on home, in home. Okay, so that's what her picture shows. So she's asking, can they pick that up without having a penalty? Okay, so there's not a touch penalty for picking up the brush. Here's what happens. The brush would be given to the referee for the remainder of the match. Okay, it would still score for mission 1 because you've already accomplished the part of the mission, right? But by rule, and we'll get into rule 17 here shortly, it goes to the referee for the remainder of the match. So the penalty, so to speak, is you don't have it available to you to move it to the forum. Okay. Yep, And also said, anticipating the follow-up question, yes, you would still score for mission 1. Okay. Questions before we get into interruption stuff? Brian, can you do me a favor and go to, oh, look at you. Go to page 13 for me first.
Trying to get there.
Yep. So I want to do the glossary stuff. There's a couple things. Okay. I kind of just want to take a step back and, back to square one. So a couple things we need to know from the glossary, like what is equipment? So all items that teams bring to the match. That's your robots, attachments, which is really kind of weird because there's really no such thing as an attachment. So anything that you bring to the table with you is equipment. Anything that's already on the table is the field or mission models. Okay. So mission models, that's the Legos that are on the field. They'll be there when you come to the field. Okay. Interruption. So that's what we're going to deal with here. Any interaction by a technician with a robot or objects in contact with a robot after it has been launched. Somebody asked me, are you allowed to interrupt the robot? They were told they can't interrupt the robot. It's your robot. You can interrupt the robot anytime your team wants to interrupt a robot. It's just a matter of what happens then. And that's what we're going to get into on 17. Okay, we can go to that page, Brian. Okay. So I appreciate you sharing your screen there, Brian.
No problem. It's
Okay.
usually helpful.
So lots of stuff to do with interruptions here. And lots of things happen to different parts and pieces during interruptions. Okay. So after any launch, technicians should allow the robot and anything it's in contact with to return completely into home before interrupting it. And I think that's where people were misunderstanding that they can't interrupt your robot. That's just telling you if you want to avoid touch penalties or the circumstances that happen when you do interrupt your robot, you should allow it to come all the way back. Okay. So if a technician interrupts a robot, it must be relaunched, period. Anytime they interrupt a robot other than the very end of the match, it has to be relaunched. That also includes if they're starting the robot, they're launching the robot, it gets partially out of home, they grab it, bring it back to home. That robot, they can't just touch it and realign it. It has to be relaunched properly. So anytime you interrupt it, it has to be relaunched, okay? If the robot or anything was in contact during the interruption was outside home, the team loses a precision token. If they stop their robot or attachments or any cargo before it gets outside of the home area or the launch area, they can reset it and relaunch with no problem, right? But if they touch it and anything's hanging out or hanging onto the field, it has to be relaunched. So here's what happens. If the robot or any object it was in contact with at the time of the interruption is partly outside, they must be returned to the same home area. So robot is almost completely out. They touch the robot. Everything it's in contact with has to come back to the home area it started in that you just launched from. It can't do anything else at that point. If it's completely outside, okay, they launch the robot. It's got cargo going to the forum, right? It crosses the launch line, the launch area line. They touch the robot. Now, this can be handy for us. It can be handy for your teams on how to get a robot to the other side. As long as it's completely outside, they can interrupt the robot to either side. They can rescue it to either side. But you have to make sure it's completely out of the launch area. Okay, robot's completely out of launch. They touch the robot. The technician can then pick the robot up and move it all the way to the other side. Just put it down in the other launch area. Okay, that's one of the ways that you can get your robot across the board. The other way
preferably it might be better if they have a program that just goes forward infinitely to shoot it across. Just wanted to make that clear before we keep going.
That's the next item I was just getting ready to say. The number one way to get the robot across is you should have a straight program or just something that you can run to get the robot across. These kids get very excited they get nervous, they forget what they've done, they forget what they've practiced, and they pick the robot up and bring it to the wrong area. Now you're stuck because your next mission is supposed to launch from the other area. So we highly suggest that you guys have a program to just a transit program to go from red to blue, blue to red, if they need to do that. So it's very helpful. We see this all the time. They get stuck. They don't know what to do. Because, they're practicing this stuff. They have a script that they're running, and if they can't run that, they don't know what to do. They get stuck with attachments that they can't use. And okay. Okay. If the robot team can place it. Okay. The team keeps the robot and any objects it originally launched with. Any objects obtained outside of home after the robot's last launch must be handed to the referee. This one's very, very confusing to kids, especially kids that have never had this, and coaches that don't understand the rule. Because we will reach in and take something off the table and they don't know why. They're thinking, hey, why are you taking that away from me? So what this is telling you is, let's say you have the brush. It's been removed from mission number 1. It's just laying on the table. Okay. Your robot's in home. It's in the launch area. You launch it. The robot goes out to grab the brush. Something gets stuck. They interrupt the robot. That brush, by rule, comes off the board. So the referee will reach in and take the brush. You still get points for mission 1 because it was still taken out. And it's not just a brush. It's anything that's, it comes in contact with that it didn't leave home with. It comes off the board. Anything that it left home with, like say you're transporting something else, that comes back with the robot to the launch area. You can rescue that to either side, actually, as long as it's completely out. Okay? Questions yet? Okay. If a team does not intend to launch their robot again, they can stop their robot in place without losing a precision token. The robot and anything it's in contact with should remain in place where it's interrupted. So I saw this a lot at Twist this past weekend. Teams would have 10 seconds left. They reach out, grab the robot, bring it to home, and they end their program, right? So what should happen by the rules in that situation is they grabbed it, brought it back to home, they lose a precision token. So this part of the rule is telling us, if you guys are done, you can just be done. You can say, okay, we're done. They reach out, they stop their robot, tell the referee you're done. You won't get a precision token loss at the end of the match, okay? You don't have to bring it back home and then tell us you're done, because you pick it up and bring it home, we think you're going to launch again, okay? So make sure your kids are aware of the time they have left. Make sure they understand, when they're interrupting the robot. If they plan on launching again, take it back home. If they don't, they can leave it where it is. Okay. Back up to 17 at the top right column. There we go. Okay. If a piece of equipment or mission model is dropped or left outside home by the robot, you wait for it to come to rest. And if it rests completely outside of home, it stays as it is unless the robot moves it. We had a couple of these this past weekend. So say you have an attachment that you have built. Their attachment breaks off the robot. The robot continues on. They rescue the robot. You don't get to reach out and bring that attachment back home. It stays on the board. Okay. If it's still touching the robot when you interrupt it, you can bring it back home. But if it's just broken off, laying there, I understand that your attachment, you need it, but by rule, it stays on the board. Okay? If it's partially inside home, it stays as it is unless the robot moves it. Okay? So this is the example that we have with the brush.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There's two different things. If it's a mission model or piece of equipment. If it's a piece of equipment, something that you brought with you, your attachment has partially in home and partially out, You can choose to leave it like it is, no problem. But if you need it, you can reach out and grab it, bring it back home. If it's equipment, you can have it, but you lose a precision token. Okay? If it's a mission model, like we were talking about with the brush, there's no loss of precision token, but it comes off the board. So you just don't get it to use it for other missions. Okay?
That also means that if it is equipment, it could be in their way unless they choose to remove it and take the precision token hit,
Right.
which can cause issues.
Yeah, this is just situational awareness here, right?
Yep.
So the kids need to know is this piece of equipment going to be in their way? Do they really need this piece of equipment? All they know, if they're not trained, is part of their robot's broken and it's laying right here. Do I need to get it? Do I even need it? If it's laying in the launch area zone that you're getting ready to run a mission, you're probably going to have to pick that up and get it out of the way. Because if you try to run over it, you're just going to misalign everything. So if it's, up in the top left corner halfway in, and you've already used that, you probably don't need to rescue that. So
You're saying it's a strategy decision.
yeah, it's up to them to decide if they touch it or not. They can stay there the whole mission. The kids just need to have that situational awareness of, do I need this or not? What's my plus and minus here? There's no need to rescue a part of an attachment that you're not going to use again. If it's out of your way, just leave it like it is. But this is something they have to be coached, because if they don't understand it, they're going to reach out and automatically say, "Oh, that's part of our robot. We want it back." Okay. All right. I think we did all that. I guess we can finish out this page real quick. There's not a lot here. So teams may not separate, dual lock, take models apart, break a mission model. Points scored in these ways will not count. The verbiage that I like to use here is, if you break a mission model and it makes it possible or easier for that mission to score, you'll get no points for it. If you accidentally run into a mission model and nothing's affected, like it didn't make scoring easier or possible, it's no big deal. Okay. I mean, you're still not technically, you still can't break anything intentionally, but that's the difference in accidentally running into something. If you have a strategy where you have to break the arm off the crane in order to score something, you were not going to allow that because you've broken the mission model and made it possible or easier to score. Okay. If a mission model is combined with anything else, including the robot, the combination must be simple, loose or simple enough that a technician can free the model, here's your key term, in perfect original condition in a single motion, if requested. If you have any questions about that, let me know. Teams may not interact with opposing teams' field, robot, equipment, or any mission model interactions that span both fields unless there's a mission exception. Points failed or lost due to interference will score automatically for the other team. We know that there is a mission that's a shared mission. So you are allowed to send your minecart over to the other side. That you're not going to lose points for that. But basically, they're just telling you you can't throw something or block somebody, the other team, from getting points. Michael says he's not sleeping good. I saw something earlier today on a forum where a team was asking, one of their teammates wants to whack their minecart over onto the other field as hard as they can just to block the other team up. You can't do that. First of all, it's bad core values. And secondly, you're not allowed to try to prevent the other team from getting points. Okay? Allison, anything I missed? I know that was a lot.
There's one other thing I wanted to bring up.
Go ahead.
We've had this come up from certain tournaments in the past. Some tournaments have stated that referees have to be the one to interrupt robots, as in students were told that they need to tell a referee to interrupt their robot for them. That is not the case. In general, students should be the one interrupting their robot. That is their baby. I don't want to break their baby. So they should be the ones grabbing their robots, doing the interruptions, all that jazz. In the situation that a student cannot reach their robot and they want to interrupt it, they are allowed to ask a referee for help. That is totally fine. But by rule, a referee is not going to go and reach out and grab a robot unless they absolutely have to.
Yep, good point. We'll put together a couple other things for next week. I don't want to have this go incredibly long here and bore everyone. I'm going to try to get this video up tonight or tomorrow, so people will know that they can go watch it and kind of get that explanation. And hopefully, if I missed anything or I wasn't clear about anything, if I forgot something, like I said, sometimes we just know what we know, and we don't think that you guys, haven't had this experience yet. So if we need to go back to step one, let us know. We'll explain it to you. We like explaining it to you. It's good for us too. So, all right. With that, I'm done. I can hear the applause.
It's also
already.
going to be in the tips from the ref file.
Good point. Yeah, we should do that.
Okay.
I think
So
there
the
is
tips
some in there already, but
Yeah,
there is some notes on this in there.
Yep, I need to add the one I did last week on the mission 14, like going from mission 1 to 14. So I'll add that up this week as well.
So the file I'm referencing, there's also a tips from the judge advisors as well. There's a link in the newsletter to a BadgerBots FLL webpage. And then I believe halfway down that webpage is tips from the refs, advice from the judges, so on and so forth. So a lot of things that are discussed on the calls also are in those files. Hopefully all of it, but it's just another resource to see how Wisconsin is implementing various rules. Oh, there you go.
No rule updates this week. I did check before we got on.
Same.
Oh, I heard a very important person today ask me if we're doing hanging with the refs. Yes, we got to figure out a time and date for that, but it will be forthcoming, and it won't be long.
Judges will come either too, so you can talk to the judges if they want as well.
Oh, I thought I said refs.
Sit hanging with the refs, which is what
Oh.
it's typically called, but
You guys know what I mean.
we're not as cool as the refs. We get it, but
And would you like to, for the new coaches, hanging with the refs and judges is what?
Yeah, so it's where we let the kids come onto a Zoom. It's not recorded. We do want the kids can join from home if they want. We want them to have a parent with them. No cameras on. We don't want them to be on camera. They need to have, if they're with their team, we need to have a mentor with them. But they can come on and ask questions, anything they want to ask us. Sometimes they don't believe what the coaches tell them. Sometimes they need to hear it from us to tell them that, no, you can't do that. Sometimes they have some really, really good questions that the coaches haven't sent in to us. So, yeah, it's a good time. We've had really good feedback from that for the last couple of years. So
we will have IPP background check adults on the call as well.
And again, no cameras. We'll let you guys know. It will not be recorded. So
The date, once it's determined, will be in the newsletter.
Yep.
Weekly newsletter that comes out on Mondays. All right. Thank you, refs. Whew. All right.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Any other questions about anything for that matter, FLL related? Going once, twice. All right. Well, coaches, be on the lookout for an email Thursday. And the tournament season is almost upon us. So good luck to everybody. Hope things are going well with your teams. Again, if you need anything from the Wisconsin FLL Brain Trust, you can go to me, FLLteams@badgerbots.org, or you also should have our judge advisors and head referees emails as well if you want to go to them directly. All right.
Volunteer.
Good night, everybody.
So guys, go volunteer for your nearest event. If your team's not going to be there, I understand you can't volunteer until you get your assignments. But you guys want to learn the ins and outs of how things go volunteer to judge, ref, just anything to do with the robot game here.
Okay.
Thank you guys. See you soon.
Good night.